I'm Julie. What's that?
Hello.
Hi. Okay. I'm Julie. I am part of the OddFish team. So is Christina, who's going to be our host. So we are gonna let everyone kind of have their mics off and just chat with us as things are going. And if everyone that was Marvin. If everyone wants to introduce their cats, that'd be awesome. My cats are Newton and Marvin. Newt is about 8 months old. He's a feral rescue, so he's absolutely psychotic, and I love him. Marvin is my 1.5-year-old Chonk, and he's giant, and I love him so much. He's literally almost 20 pounds. He's great. So if anyone else wants to introduce themselves and their cats, that'd be awesome. We'd love to hear.
Yeah, I'll go next. Actually, before we continue, if anyone has their speaker on when they're not speaking, if you could mute that, because we're hearing a little bit of that echo in the background. And so most of you know me. I am Eileen, and this is Penny trying to break into her bag of treats. Penny was born in 2013. I was walking somewhere in Queens, and she at 2 months old was running down the street from someone else, and then she tried to jump up some store window, and I just sort of snatched her out of the sky and turned her around. It's well, I guess I'm responsible for you now. And that's how we met, and she's been my cat ever since. So, and that's my introduction. And I guess Evie, would you go next?
Yeah, sure. This is Kit. She turned 2 yesterday, so that's awesome. We gave her a little cake out of cat food. It was wonderful. And she keeps trying to run away for some reason, as in walk out of frame. So that's fun.
Yeah, happy birthday.
Yeah. And I'm Jennifer, author of OddFish Games, or of OddFish Games. I've had an RPG with your cat, and this is Lucy. As you might have guessed, she's not a cat, but she thinks she's a cat and constantly wants to play with cats. So she's my partner today.
Awesome. Frank, you're up.
Hi, everybody. I'm Frank. I'm with Murder Hobo Inc. We're an RPG game filled with degenerate individuals who have no concept of humility. I have 3 cats. One is a rescue with half a tail. She was found out in the wilderness. She is antisocial, so she will not be joining us. The other 2 are God knows where doing God knows what, and a dog. So when I told them, I just got home, my apologies, I'm a little bit late. Otherwise I would have wrangled one of them. So when they walk through the frame, I'll grab a hold of them.
Once you break out the treats, they'll be around.
No, they don't like treats.
Oh, okay.
Now they do like catnip. So, but you know what? I'm going to step away and give it a jingle. We'll see what I get.
All right. That sounds cool. And next up, Lauren, why don't you go?
Hi, I'm a friend of Eileen's. I try to support her in all the curious things she gets up to. So when she told me about this, I was intrigued. I have 2 brother-sister cats, rescues. Katie, well, it was Kimmy, but the kids renamed her Katy Perry, and Kino. And both of them had a virus when they were young, which affected Kino's balance. So you may see some strange movements from him during today's activities. I'm going to let them both play. We'll see how they do.
Oh, man, I miss those guys so much, Lauren.
I love seeing your cat. I love his eyes. Are you guys seeing those cat's eyes? Look at those eyes. Bing.
It's pretty nuts. There's sometimes where she stands over Kyle's laptop at night, and the light reflects off of her just so that it just creeps you the heck out.
Like an owl.
All right, who's next?
I mean, my cats won't be playing, but you can meet them.
Yeah, let's meet them.
So they're all currently sleeping around here, but it's feeling. And let's see, Schnurfles and Fat Artemis are over there, and Kiwi's over there. So they'll be around. They won't be participating directly, but they're here.
They're here to support us all. All right, that sounds cool. So for those of us who don't know, How to RPG with Your Cat is a way of incorporating your cats into your RPGs, either as How to RPG with Your Cat can be played as a standalone RPG, or it can also be incorporated into your other RPGs. And it is a whole lot of fun, and we're really happy to be able to introduce you to it today. And with that, Chris, I guess we're handing it over to you.
All right. So, as Eileen was saying, this is going to be a demonstration session of How to RPG with Your Cat. So, essentially, the way this is going to work is we have a little scenario written here. The scenario is called Trouble on the Sphinx. Collectively, we will be playing as the resident cat on a merchant star freighter called the Sphinx, which is currently on a supply run out to the new colonies on the edge of colonized space. So the way this is going to work is this cat is going to go through an adventure, and whenever we get to a certain point where there might be some sort of dice roll in a normal RPG, instead I'm going to give you all a prompt. And I'm going to do that. So I'm going to send you all a link to a Google poll, and that poll will give you a prompt. And that prompt will say, hey, do this thing with your cat. So, dangle some string in front of them, throw a toy for them, and then there'll be a number of responses. And you're going to select the response that is closest to how your cat responded to that prompt. And then sort of based on the aggregates of those responses, I'll sort of determine what happens with the cat in the narrative. So this is just sort of a way to demonstrate the product, sort of give you a chance to sort of engage with some of our prompts. It's not going to go through all of them, but that's the way it's going to work. I welcome input. So, what basically the way this is going to work is I'm going to read through some story. And when we get to the prompts, we're all welcome to turn on our microphones, turn on our cameras, show our cats responding, sort of describe what's going on, things of that nature, because we want to get them involved sort of in the Zoom as much as we can. So does that sort of make sense to everyone?
Yeah, that makes sense. Is it possible for those of us who are on our phones, sometimes the Google Forms are a little quirky, can we just describe what our cats would do or are doing?
Yes, that's fine. You can just go ahead and do that.
Awesome.
We'll make it work. All right. And yeah, we'll see how this goes. The story is somewhat linear with branching linear, but we can go off the rails if we end up going that way. So we'll see.
Sweet. Okay.
So I've already basically described the scenario where on a merchant star freighter known as the Sphinx, the first thing that we have to do is figure out our background. So this will be our first Google prompt. And I'm going to throw that in the chat right now. So we're going to determine the background of our cat. And we have 3 backgrounds to choose from. We can be a mouser, a companion, or a stowaway. So this one is not going to be a cat prompt. This is just sort of setting up the fiction. So yeah, there's descriptions in the Google form, but for those of you that can't see the Google form, as a mouser, you were brought on the ship in order to catch various vermin, such as slithers and void rats. You have a proven record as a hunter, and you aren't afraid to pick a fight. You can also choose to be a companion, which means you were adopted by the ship's first mate, Pippa, to be a friend and companion on these long space voyages. You have an instant rapport with humans and can cheer folks up just by being around. However, all this pampering may have made you a little soft. You could also choose to be a stowaway, where you aren't really supposed to be here on the ship, but due to a series of unfortunate events, you wound up in the cargo bay. You were found by Pippa, the first mate, and she has convinced the captain not to jettison you out into space, but you may have to prove your worth if you want to stay on the ship. All right.
think Penny's feeling like a mouser today.
Okay, Penny's feeling like a mouser today. Let's check our responses. All right, so we have over 50% choosing mouser. So that's what we're going to be. We're going to be a mouser in this game. All right. So just keep that in mind. All right, so now we're going to enter into the narrative. You wake up to the harsh buzzing of what sounds like electric bees. Of course, it isn't actually bees. You know that now. It's just the artificial daylight generators kicking on. But just to be safe, you crack open an eye. Sure enough, the faint beams of light are starting to seep through the fixtures in the ceiling. The artificial dawn fills you with energy as you leap out of your bed, ready to face the world. Now, your world is confined to this one bedroom at the moment. Your bed is perched atop a small steel desk, which gives you an unbroken view of the whole place. Unfortunately, there isn't much to see other than the desk. The only other furniture is a bed, which still contains the sleeping form of your human companion, Pippa Franklin, the ship's first mate. She is still currently tangled in the bed sheets with one leg hanging off the side. Apparently, not everyone on this ship has your natural love for mornings. Now, being the good friend that you are, you decide to help Pippa out. So that's going to bring us to our first cat prompt, which is going to be acrobatics. And I'm throwing that in the chat right here. Acrobatics. All right. So acrobatics is going to ask you to invite your cat to show you their most impressive stunts by gently placing a light sheet or towel over them and seeing how they respond.
I've never seen Marvin move that fast before. Like, ever. I've never seen 20 pounds move that fast before.
She's not moving.
Good job, kid.
And Penny out.
Kid's trying so hard.
It's having fun.
What this thing? I'm gone. Bye, guys.
Is Kit still under the sheet?
She's still under the sheet.
She just lives here now.
She's trying to eat my hand. No, it's my ring. Ow.
Marvin, stop smelling the microphone. That's not...
Penny was lured back. Sweet, sweet smell of treats.
You want to come out or no? Okay.
My cat's just wearing hers.
That's what mine do too.
I've never seen her react that way before. That's interesting. You just gonna stay there now? No? Nah, you're not having fun with that. That's all right.
I tried to put one on Newton and he immediately grabbed my hand like, no, I know where this is going. We're not doing this today. Just like...
All right, so I've got 4 responses so far. Is that, yeah, that seems about right. So we got a fairly positive response to this one. So we're going to go ahead with the good outcome for this. So back on Sphinx, you leap at it, you leap off of the desk. So you coil your haunches and give a huge spring off the desk, and you glide across the gap between the desk and the bed and landed daintily on the bed perfectly. You immediately begin to sort of strut across Pippa's face in order to wake her up. She sort of snores and sputters a few times before her eyes snap open. She sort of very gently shoves you off of her face, muttering, okay, I'm up. And she, rolls out of bed and goes into the bathroom. After a few minutes, she comes back, frantically, doing up her hair and saying, thank you, Kat. Thank you for waking me up. I'd slept right through my alarm. I was going to be late for the morning briefing. As she sets down your food, she also gives you a treat. So I will be keeping track of how many treats you receive throughout this, and they will have some mechanical effects later on as we go through. So you have earned your first treat. So as Pippa is sort of busying herself getting ready, she describes to you what your job for the day is going to be. So, as she's slipping on her uniform, she says, Kat, Crewman Crawford claims that he saw a void rat down in the cargo hold the other day. This is why we brought you on board. The darn things have been nothing but trouble since we left Cassandra Station a few weeks ago. They've been chewing holes in the cargo crates. If you want to earn your keep around here, you can start by taking care of that rat. All right. So now we in the story obviously know exactly what a void rat is, but for us, the players, we might not know. So you might be forgiven for thinking that they're a lot like regular rats. In fact, they aren't. They're closer, they look more like arthropods. They have a tough exoskeleton and a bunch of skittering legs. And they're covered with some sort of inky black secretion that makes them nearly invisible to humans, but it does not affect cats. And this is the main reason why humans have started bringing cats on their spaceships to catch these sort of menaces that, for whatever reason, cats can see, but humans cannot. So, by this point, Pippa has sort of picked you up and carried you down to the cargo bay where the rat was last seen. She sort of tosses you in and shuts the door behind you, shouting, "Good luck," before darting off to her meeting. Now, you take a look around you. You've been in the cargo bay several times. You see that it's a standard cargo bay. It's cluttered with boxes and crates of various sizes that are arranged in no particular order that you can readily discern. A void rat could be hanging around anywhere. So it's up to you to see whether or not you can find it, which is going to bring us to our next cat prompt, which is survival. Here we go. So survival is going to bring some catnip into this. It's going to ask you to place a toy with catnip in front of your cat and see how they respond, I believe. Yes.
I think she approves.
I love those pineapple toys, by the way.
They're adorable.
Yeah, ours love the carrots in particular, but it's the same brand.
Yeah. Oh, and she's off. Okay.
Newton just took it and left. Like, he didn't. You're just like, this is mine now, bye.
Newton is a natural born rogue.
I don't know what to do with him. Oh my god. I just hear him making a mess of something in the kitchen. I'm like, okay, we liked our toy.
All right, so we've got about 4 responses. They have been not the best responses, but but because we have that treat from the last prompt, we're actually going to get a much better outcome than we would have normally. So because we have the treat, we're going to take the highest or the best response on the table. And that means we're going to get a success on this roll. So we're going to use up our treat to get this success here. So you're a natural born hunter as a mouser. So that also gives you a bonus on this. So yeah, you immediately enter hunting mode, and you're gonna you stalk around the towers, and you, as you're sort of wandering through the towers of crates, you catch a faint, sticky sort of resinous odor that you immediately recognize as a void rat. You quickly dart into the shadows just in time to see the creature skitter up to a box and start clawing at it. You get an ambush. So now we're going to have our first chance to attack. So I'm going to give you a cat prompt here for a melee attack. Because we are a mouser, we're going to favor melee attacks. So here is our melee attack prompt. So for melee attack, we're going to find out if our cat is a fighter by taking a piece of ribbon, string, or yarn and dangling in front of them.
And it's gone too. It's gonna go join the catnip toy. Oh my god.
Yeah, we couldn't do the catnip over here because Penny goes absolutely nuts when there's catnip around. But she is all about this string.
Good job, Penny.
Lucy's happy because I'm finally letting her play with a cat toy.
It's her dream.
The forbidden toys. Not even over here, so I can't even get her to. She's just.
Yeah. Oh.
Oh my god. I don't know if it's because Newton's so small, but he does this thing where he can like spring-loaded jump off the ground, and like he's come really close to doing a full flip before. So he's just running around like jumping at string, like doing that. Oh.
That is super impressive.
It's impressive.
All right, looks like we have the majority of our responses, and yeah, here we go. Okay, we had an interesting mix of tripping over our feet and attacking, but we have so. But yeah, because we got the ambush on the last roll, we get a pretty good outcome out of this. So you, from your position in the shadows, you dart out at the rat and swipe at it with your claws, and after a short scuffle, you latch onto its neck, and you manage to kill the rat quickly and effectively. So you have managed to do your job. Good job. And you didn't even get hurt in the process. So well played. So your job done. You sort of pick up the corpse of this void rat and sort of, you need to be praised for this as a cat. So you pick it up in your teeth and sort of carry it with you through the hallways of the ship, looking for a human to tell you you've done a good job. Unfortunately, you don't seem to be finding any humans. So after you wander the corridors for a while, you decide that the best course of action is just to leave it in front of the kitchen and in front of the galley. Just leave it in front of the door because someone is bound to find it there, and once they do, they'll praise you for it, obviously. So, and as you are laying this corpse on the doorstep of this room, you overhear raised voices from within. This is somewhat unusual. The voices sound to be in some degree of excitement. You can't quite make them out, but with that much enthusiasm behind the voices, you decide it's probably a good idea just to check it out. So we are going to do an investigation prompt. Investigation. So investigation is going to test your cat's detective instincts. So you're going to place a couple of treats inside like a tissue box or a water bottle or something for them to see if they can figure out how to get those treats out of there.
I don't think anything could stand between Newton and some treats. And Marvin's just like, I'll do anything for food. Like, you put it in a day, I'm gonna suddenly become the most intelligent creature that you've ever seen. And like, he'll get it out. He learned how to open up cabinets to get food. Like, nothing's stopping him. Nothing.
I'm curious as to whether she's gonna go for it or not. She can smell them.
You can do it, Penny.
I believe in you. You've almost got it.
Kit could not care less.
Kit does not care in the slightest.
It's more excited from the glint of the camera.
I think she's had too much catnip.
Newton flicked one out by accident, and Marvin just ate it. Like, he's just gonna be a parasite off his brother. This is perfect.
Teamwork.
Except Marvin gets the treat. Like, make you do the work for me.
All right, we got a 40-40 split here between getting some part of themselves stuck, or it's 33-33 split between getting stuck and ignoring it completely. So we were not particularly successful on this investigation check. Teamwork, I like it. But because of the teamwork, I'm going to give us a mitigated success here.
That is entirely fair.
Yeah, because we did have a treat from the last, from doing so well catching that void rat. So we do get a mitigated success here. So you sort of jaunt into the room. You're not super stealthy about it, but you do manage to get a glimpse of what's sort of going on with the humans. You decide it doesn't really concern you too much, but you manage to gather that there's a derelict ship that has been spotted on the sensors, and the humans have decided to go and investigate. Pippa seemed to have been against it, fearing it would be a trap, but the captain overruled her. So that's what you managed to catch. But that's human stuff. It doesn't really matter to you anyways. You're a cat. The crew seems less enthused than you imagined they would be at the fact that you left the corpse of the void rat at the foot of the door, but Pippa does congratulate you for having done your job, though you sense a note of exasperation in her voice. And, after that, you sort of go about your daily business, which involves wandering the ship, sleeping, in the hallways, wherever you can find it, on the radiators, stuff like that. You're in the middle of one of your, mandated naps when you hear a telltale sound that sort of startles you from your slumber. It sounds like metal clanging against metal. You have been on this ship and been in space long enough that you recognize that this is the sound of another ship engaging the docking port on your ship. It seems as if someone at the Sphinx is being boarded. So you have only a moment to decide here how you want to, here it is, how you want to respond to the fact that your ship is apparently being boarded. All right. So this is not a cat prompt. This is just a straight up vote on how we want to handle this situation.
I got a link not found.
Link not found. Okay. Well then, I will just read you the options and we'll decide what we want to do. So basically your options are you can run and hide, you can stand and fight, or you can try to distract the incoming invaders.
Penny's definitely a run and hide. If we're in danger, we're on our own.
Noodles is ready.
I've got 2 votes for distract and 1 for hide.
I think Kit would hide.
2 for hide.
I think
No.
Lucy would distract or go try to lick them.
All right, we're going to go with distract then. Okay. So in order to distract, we are going to have to apply our skills of persuasion here. So let's get out this prompt. Persuasion.
Oof.
So with persuasion, we're going to test our cat's diplomatic tendencies by approaching them, giving them a formal bow, and attempting to pet them on the head and seeing how they respond.
Sir. My cupcake.
Kit is a very rude kit. She ran away from me.
Kit does not have a natural flair with diplomacy.
Penny is very suspicious of all affection.
Marvin's just like, yeah, we're gonna cuddle now, I guess. Cool. Perfect.
My cat's sticking his butt in the air.
Nice.
I think that conveys a clear message.
Yeah. I don't know, in cat terms, that's fairly diplomatic, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's a universal sign to friendship, right?
Yeah, it is. You know, get to know you. So, you decide that you're going to use your powers of persuasion to distract the invaders. So, you sort of trot out into the middle of the corridor, and when the invaders you're going to assume are pirates at this point, around the corner into the corridor, you jump out in front of them and roll onto your back. The lead pirate stops in his tracks and sort of looks down at you warily before being overcome by the sudden desire to pet you. And the pirate leans over and starts stroking your belly. Out of the corner of your eye, you see that Pippa and a few of the crew dart into a service shaft and sort of disappear. So, unfortunately, you've managed to do something. Unfortunately, your success is short-lived, and as soon as another pirate rounds the corner, he immediately smacks the other pirate on the back of the head and picks you up. You get tossed ceremoniously into a storage closet with the rest of the captured crew. But luckily, you don't see that. You see that not all the crew has been tossed in here. So your distraction was successful enough to let some of the rest of the crew escape. The folks locked in the storage closet with you are glum and scared, but after a while, you hear a knocking on the door and Pippa's voice coming through on the other side. Apparently, she has a plan to free the rest of the crew and get the ship back, but she's going to need your help, Cat. So in order for this to work, Pippa's going to need someone else, but you are the only crew member that's small enough to fit through the air vents to get out of this, out of the room that they've all been locked in. So Engineer Dawkins is going to pry open the vents that's just large enough for you to squeeze through, and soon enough you find yourself out in the corridor with Pippa. All right, so now you two have to free the crew and take back the ship. Okay, so after some talking between Pippa and Engineer Dawkins, they decide that in order to free the crew, they're going to need a certain tool from engineering. And then after that, once they have the certain tool, someone is going to need to go down to engineering, or they're going to need to go down to the control panel in the engineering bay and press the yellow switch for 5 seconds. That will, Engineer Dawkins spouts out some techno babble about resetting some system that you don't quite understand, but it should allow her to sort of hack in and open all the doors. So with this plan in mind, you and Pippa make off towards the utility room to grab the tool that Engineer Dawkins needs. You manage to make your way there without incident, but you find that there are 3 pirates already there searching for valuables. So at this juncture, we are going to try and test our skills of intimidation. So we already know we're pretty persuasive. Let's see how good we are at intimidation, to see if we can distract these pirates long enough or scare them away so that you can search for this tool at your leisure. So this one's going to ask us to test our cat's guts by making intense, sustained eye contact with them for at least 20 seconds and observing their response.
She's not even making eye contact with me in the first place, so...
This is one of my favorite prompts.
No attention span.
No, Marvin's slow blinking. He'll stare at anyone. And his face isn't intimidating. It's more just like, do you have food? Like, he's just hoping to get fed. So he's just gonna look at me until I feed him.
Hey, that's all you need. Just gotta give yourself your own motivation here. All right.
I don't know what she's looking for, but it must be much more interesting than my eye contact.
Uh-huh. Okay, we actually got a pretty good response to this. So, turns out you are fairly intimidating. So you sneak up behind the pirates and you start swiping at their ankles before you dart behind a crate. Swipe, hide, swipe, hide, swipe, hide. The pirates have no idea what's going on. Your guerrilla tactics eventually get too annoying and they just grab an armful of random stuff and leave. This gives Pippa ample time to search for the correct tool that Engineer Dawkins needs. She finds it and sort of says, okay, now you need to run down to the engineering bay and you need to hold that yellow lever for 5 seconds, all right? Make sure you remember that. So while Pippa heads back to the storage closet with the tool, you make your way down to engineering. There's a few pirates wandering around, but you manage to find the panel that Engineer Dawkins was talking about. So as a cat, we're not, trained in the use of Starship technology. So we're going to have to check how good we are at the use of technological items. So we get our use technology prompt here, which is going to ask us to place a tablet, phone, or other electronic device on the floor in front of our cat, our keyboard or laptop, and see how they respond. I know personally, my cats love to sleep on electronics, so.
This is going swimmingly. Does that count as sitting on it? No? Okay.
She just examined it and then laid down.
Hi, kitty.
Yeah, Penny's ignoring it.
I actually think Kit's tired now.
They're like, what is that?
More than she usually does.
Kit just does not care.
Okay, so it seems like our cats are not natural technologists. So, yeah, you're not really sure what's going on. You obviously have no idea what you're doing. You start randomly swatting at the panel, pushing buttons. Something that you pushed wasn't great. The panel sparks and you take some harm. So harm is another thing similar to treats. Basically, it means you're going to be at a disadvantage on the next cat prompt. But you you manage to short out the panel. So you figure there's nothing left for it. You make your way back to the storage room. Yeah, so, you know, it didn't go swimmingly, but because Pippa was able to find that perfect tool, she still managed to get the door open in your absence. It took a little longer, and you know, it took some bashing of the door, but managed to get it open. Okay, so now the crew has been freed. Good job, Kat. It's time for you to take back the ship. So you and the crew sort of rush out of the utility room, sort of heading for the bridge, ready for a fight. They go into various rooms, the galley, the engineering bay, but there don't really seem to be any pirates left around. It's confusing. Finally, you all get to the bridge and you hear the captain of the Sphinx let out a cry of frustration. It seems that the pirates have locked out your ship's controls. Just as everyone sort of streams into the room, the main view screen flickers to life. You see the face of a scraggly pirate that tossed you in the utility closet in the first place, and he sort of cackles at you. Well, it seems you all are more resourceful than I thought. It's too bad we had to meet under such circumstances. Y'all would have made grand pirates. I don't know why the pirate talks with a southern drawl, but he does. So, by now, you've all no doubt realized that your ship's controls have been disabled. The moment our ships are uncoupled, the autopilot's going to fly your ship directly into the nearest sun. You should know that it's nothing personal. I just can't have you following us. No hard feelings. And with that, the comlink goes dead. So, we now have a decision to make. How are we going to handle the pirate captain? So this is not a cat prompt, this is just a vote. See how we're going to go about this and choose which prompt we're going to do. Two for switching sides and joining the pirates. 3 for switching sides and joining the pirates. Okay, well, we ended up with 4 votes for switching sides and joining the pirates. So that is what we're going to end up doing.
That's just where we...
Uh-huh. Okay, so this is going to ask us to make a deception prompt here. So let me throw up deception real quick. And this will be our last prompt of the game. How good are we at deception? So deception...
Sorry.
Yeah, go for it. Basically, this is going to ask us to place some treats or some food in another room or sort of next to you, and sort of turn your head or look away. And then turn back and look at your cat after a minute and see what happens. To sort of see how well they're able to bluff you. I also find this prompt particularly fun.
No, I didn't even have to wait for her to go away.
I know nothing. Caught red-handed. She doesn't look guilty.
Lucy didn't even understand the concept of not eating the treat.
Yeah.
I'm not going to play your game, human. My face now.
Yeah, Newton and Marvin are like, they've found it. That it's done. It's all there.
Okay, so we already have 3 votes for doesn't even look up from eating. Okay. Okay, so normally this would be a bad outcome on the deception roll, But for this particular instance, I've decided to flip the, not this particular, but for this role, I flipped the values so that if they do these particular responses, they get the good outcome. So here's how our story ends. Wow, that's cold-blooded. That's really cold-blooded. You turn on the crew that took you in, proving once and for all that you are a true pirate at heart. With your betrayal, the pirates easily overpower the crew of the Sphinx, lock them back in the closet, and they finish looting the ship for all it's worth, and they set the ship adrift. Because of your valiant efforts, they decide not to steer directly into the sun, but they're not calling anyone to come and get them anyways. You go on to have a successful, if short, career as a pirate. Sometimes you think back to your old crew. Do you regret what you did to them? Only you can say as you stare through the window into the blackness of space, which mirrors your very soul. And that's the end of our story. Thank you for testing out how to RPG with your cat.
So, Chris, so How to RPG with Your Cat is going to be on Kickstarter pretty soon. And Chris, do you have the cat armor around by any chance?
It is not up here with me right now, unfortunately. Yeah. I forgot to grab it.
All right, I'll send some pictures
Yes.
to Lauren and Frank a little bit later. And so let's see. Let me see if I can go find that cat jail over here. So one of the pledge tiers is going to have this cat jail over here available, and another one that I am building out right now. And you have to see the pictures of Chris's cat armor that I'll send you guys later, because it is phenomenal looking. It is super, super cool.
Eileen, I love that you just called it a cat jail instead of a dice jail, because now I'm picturing it containing a cat.
Really?
Yeah.
How big is it?
What's that?
How big is it? Will it fit a cat?
Maybe a kitten. It might fit a kitten.
Depends on the size. And
mine are bendy, so.
Well, I mean, cats are liquid, so.
Very true. Everyone could fill out a survey just to say, like, you guys had a good time. We'd love that. I also linked everyone to our social media pages in the chat, to OddFish's like Instagram, Facebook, and all that fun stuff, and also to the How to RPG specific. Newton, stop it. You are done with treats. No. The How to RPG with Your Cat Instagram and Facebook and Twitter. So if you guys could give us a follow, that would be awesome.
Can do.